and she's a fellow at PRSK. So I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome Ruth Musembi to take us through this session this morning. Karibu sana, Ruth.
Asante sana. Thank you so much, Wavi, for that introduction. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for having me. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so just one disclaimer.
Yes, yes.
So where we live, sometimes we get electricity challenges, and we have a generator, but it takes like a minute to come on. I'm just praying that this doesn't happen, but in case it happens, just stay there, I'll be back. So yeah, the day has come and here we are, and we are going to focus on this topic. Like I told someone, it's interesting that when we were introducing ourselves, I said I'm a communication expert and everything else I do, but what seems to have caught people's attention was the aspect of my A or B, which is the finishing school. So we are going to get right into it and see how we go. So yeah, so the finishing school I'll be talking to us about called Potty's Transition School. And as we continue, you will see where this word transition is coming in. So it is a modern day finishing school for career women. And what we do is to help people maximize their potential. We believe that everybody is born with immense potential. There is no one who came to this world without the ability to affect people in a positive way. But depending on how we have grown up, the experiences we've gone through, the people we've encountered, sometimes we reach a point and we don't feel like we are good enough. And so Potty's Transition School is a coaching school, but we combine three things, and I'll show you. Apart from coaching, we do training and mentorship. So Wavi has introduced me, so I'll skip this one. So like I said, why am I doing this? My passion is in coaching, in training, in mentoring. Like you had in the introduction, I am a teacher by profession. So from 1995 to 2000, I was teaching both in high school and teacher training college. And then I went later to do my master's in communication, but the teaching training bug has never left me. I think I was born to teach and train and mentor. So where this passion came from is, I will tell you a very little story. When I was growing up, as early as when I was in high school, people would come to me and ask for advice, for help. They would share their stories with me, and some of them would be much older than me. It became even the case when I went to the university. So for me, I didn't get a boyfriend until very late. So people would come to me and say, oh, you know, I have a friend and this is not working. What should I do? And I would just look at myself and think, wow, I don't even have a boyfriend. I don't know anything. Why would someone older than me come to ask me to assist them? It went on like that until even my own mom would sometimes use me as a sounding board about some ideas, sometimes some things that she wants to explore. And it went on even in my working life. I would be talking to ladies and later someone will call and say, you know, Ruth, you really helped me. And I would be like, how, when? Then she would say, oh, this day when we were talking, this is what was happening. Right now I'm feeling so much better. And I would be like, my goodness, we were just having a chat, a casual chat. So with time, I came to realize there's something God has deposited in me. And it looks like when I talk to people, they feel nice, they feel settled, they feel confident, they get hope. And so I decided, why not? Why not get in and just help people? So that's my passion. I do it for passion. I can do it for free because it really blesses me when I see someone getting to bounce their ideas on me and we explore possibilities. So now the finishing school. I don't know what comes to mind when you hear the word finishing school. You know, as I was preparing for this presentation, somebody told me, oh, you know, I thought finishing school, you are going to help us look at how to complete our studies. I don't know how many of us have, maybe you've been doing your master's for quite a while and you've not finished, and probably someone thought that's what the finishing school is all about. But just a backstory, in the olden days, mostly in Europe and in the US and in Australia, women were never taken to school to do the formal technical education. So at some point when they reach the age of marriage, they would be taken to a school to be refined. So a finishing school was like a refining place. So you get refined, you are taught manners, you are taught deportment, how to entertain dignitaries and rich people. And those who did well would get an opportunity to get suitors who are rich and famous, and they will get married. And so because one of the major jobs for a wife was to entertain the visitors of the husband, and there will be high-level visitors. So you really had to have all your manners in place, you know how to eat, which cutlery to use, all that kind of stuff. So that was finishing school then. And so the question is, do finishing schools still exist? And when I was checking, I realized that in the true sense of the word, maybe just 1 or 2 schools are remaining in the world that can claim to be schools. But what has happened is that some of them now have changed and begun offering other skills like technical skills and different life skills to the people. And this statement is so true that we now need a new type of a finishing school, because as women today, we are no longer being prepared for marriage alone. Marriage is beautiful. I've been married for 23 years, and I really thank God that it's been well. And marriage is good. But you see, we have transitioned from entertaining our husbands' visitors in the dining room to the boardroom. Now we are in the corporate world, either as entrepreneurs or as employees, as leaders. And so the thing is, we still need to be completed, to be refined, but in a slightly different manner. And yes, etiquette is still very, very important. Deportment is very important. There's a course I teach on government protocol, etiquette, and communication, a 5-day course. So we still need that, but we need much more. And so what Portis has done is to take this game a notch higher. So welcome to the other side. And this is where we are saying that the skills that got you here won't get you there. So here means wherever you are. We are at different stages in our career journey, and there is what has been working for you where you are. If you want to go to the next level, you will need new skills. And there's nobody who wants to remain in one level. All of us want to keep growing from one level to another. So the purpose of the Portis Transition School is to say, if you are moving through your career journey, and I see 6 transitions, from when you are a young graduate all the way to when you retire, you need to be picking newer skills every time you want to go to the next level. And that's what I'll spend the rest of the time talking to us about, so that we can get polished and get to scale the ladder in the corporate world, just like the men. I saw today someone had posted, there's a doctor called Makove Wala. She's very active on social media spaces. So I saw something she posted yesterday saying, women, we sell ourselves short. Even the way we introduce ourselves, we don't put out all our qualifications out there. It's like we are shy. And men are not shy about what they have done, what they have achieved, and even the future, what they want. But we tend to be shy. So a finishing school like this one will just help us to be able to play our game at that level where, even the men cannot fault us. And I'm not a women activist. I believe when God created humanity, he placed us at our proper place. So I'm so happy being a woman. And I coach married women, helping them just settle down. And so I'm not an activist. I'm not the one to say, this man, I don't know, let's do what. No. But again, we should not sell ourselves short. We should be able to, put ourselves out there and scale the ladder. So our target groups now, as you move through your career, there are 5 or 6 places that you will move. So when you are young, you are 21, 22, you are just done with university or college, you will be a recent graduate. Possibly you'll be seeking employment. but you may also want to do your own startup. Then track number 2, you will be an early career employee, maybe between 1 year and 5 years. Sometimes it could be longer, but you just started working. You are just probably below 30, still learning the ropes and beginning to climb up the ladder. So the question would be, what skills would be so important for you in your early career space? And every time I think about this, I look at myself and I say, I wish I had someone to tell me some of these things. Maybe I would have, flourished much better or moved up the ladder much faster or something. So this is the motivation that I have, that, if there's something somebody can learn, and if I can help them to learn it, then I will do it, because we need to have that smooth transition. Then track number 3, now you have been working in your early career. Someone has seen that you can supervise other people, and so they make you a manager. You become a first-time manager. So the question is, what skills do you need? Are you going to still survive on the skills you are using when you are an early career employee? Or do you need new skills? And the answer is you do need new skills. So what are they? We'll look at them. Then track number 4 is for entrepreneurs in startups. So this may be of any age. It could be you have just come out of university, and because of the nature of Kenya today and the world today, you've not found a job yet. Or probably out of your desire, personality, and everything, you just want to be an entrepreneur. So what skills do you need in that startup to succeed? And then finally, you are a CEO, you are head of communication, head of marketing, head of even maybe a media house, and you are moving from one CEO job to another CEO job. You are moving from one head of communication job to the other. So those are the people I call leaders in transition. So you are not a new leader. You are a very seasoned leader, but you are moving to a new job. And people are giving you 90 days, which is 1 quarter. 90 days to judge whether you are doing your bit or not, or whether they made a mistake or not. So what skills do you need? Would you need? You are not a new leader, you are not a rookie, you are very seasoned, but you've taken a new appointment, either as a CEO or as a top executive. What do you need? So that's that. So this is it. All the 5 tracks I've shown you, we need foundational skills. And then we also need productivity skills that are specific to our track. So let me start with the foundational skills. These ones, everybody needs them. Whether you are a graduate out of university, you need certain skills, which I will show you in the next slide. Whether you are a leader in transition, whether you are a first-time manager or an early career employee, there are 3 foundational skills that you need. And if you do not have them, there will be a problem. There will be gaps. Some things will happen to you and you'll be wondering why they are happening to you. So these skills include communication, networking, and personal skills. I will show us all those. Then for every specific track, there are specific skills necessary to thrive in your current career phase and to prepare for the transition to the next one. So if, for example, I'm an early career employee and I want I'm planning my career, I want to transit to become a manager, I want to be appointed as a manager, either within where I work or apply for jobs. How should I start preparing? What skills should I start learning so that when the time comes, they will find me more than ready? What skills are those? So for the foundation skills, they are meant to help you build your social capital. And like I said, they are communication skills, personal skills, and networking skills. So everybody needs to know how to communicate their ideas. How do you pass ideas across in a way that connects with people, both with their heart, but also with their mind, in a way that meets their communication needs, their information needs, in a way that takes care of their interests and their concerns? All those are things that we need to think about when we think about effective communication, or what I call communication for results. And I call it communication for results because there are many times people communicate and they say, I'm talking to these people, it's like they are not getting me. These stakeholders are not getting me. This community is not getting me. These customers are not getting me. These employees are not getting me. The question is, how are you framing your communication? How are you really, really communicating? So Communication skills are important, whether you are an early career employee, a fresh graduate, a leader in transition, and everything in between. You need to learn how to write well and write to get results, not to send emails that will not get you results. To read well. Why am I saying read? Even if you are a leader in transition and you have gone to this new company and the heads of the different departments have given you like a summary of what has been going on. If you don't know how to read to get value from whatever has been written, you will not get value from that text. And probably you will start asking people what they consider to be obvious questions, and you may just put them off just because of that. If I am a fresh graduate and there's an advert, I need to know how to read an advert well, understand, like the way we were being taught the other day. I like get the key points, respond to them. So reading is very, very important. Then conversation, the art of conversations. How do we converse with people? Public speaking, listening, especially active listening, questioning. The art of questioning is very important. Nonverbal communication cues, you know, the way I stand, where I put my hands, my facials, everything. Then negotiation is very important. Today, everyone knows that you can't get your way by forcing your way. You have to negotiate with people. So you need those skills. Influence, how do you influence people? You need to be assertive. There are some people, depending on our personalities, who are not naturally given to voicing what is inside them. But then if you really want to scale the ladder, you need to learn how to be assertive without being confrontational. And that's a very important skill. Then persuasion is very important. And of course, digital communication skills, because now, even if people like you are my age and above, you know, fifth floor uko, you will not say digital skills are for the young people. You really have to calm down and say, I need to understand one or two things. Then personal skills is everything about myself, yourself, and how that helps me to become a better contributor in the work environment where I am, whether I am employed, I am the employer, or I'm an entrepreneur. Positive attitude. And yesterday, I was so happy to see the conversation that was on the wall about attitude and how it is so, so critical to everything else that we do. A sense of responsibility is so important to scale the ladder in the corporate world. Adaptability. There are some people who are very rigid. You try to tell them this is the way we will go. And, you know, yeah, they just want to, it's their way or the highway. They are so, you know, they can't adapt. And, you know, if change is the only constant, so if we can't adapt, it will sweep us away to the oblivion. Consistency. 1 week, I come to work on time. The next week, I'm nowhere to be found. So it means my boss cannot even assign me anything that is critical because I'm not consistent. And yet I want to grow in the career ladder. It's gonna be very difficult. Confidence. Some people, you look at them and you are thinking, what happened? But again, depending on our personalities, some people are not born with natural confidence, but confidence can be built. And there are very simple ways to build your confidence so that you come out and you look like you know what you are saying. Positioning, how do you position yourself? If you go to work somewhere and you just hide yourself at the back, somewhere, in the oblivion, nobody seems to know you exist. How are you going to scale the ladder? It's going to be difficult. Prioritization is about time management and many other things. Motivation, there are some people who look like, I normally use a wheelbarrow analogy, you know, and I use it when I want to think about the house helps we normally employ. So sometimes you get a house girl and you think this is a wheelbarrow because I don't know, I grew up in the village. So a wheelbarrow, if you push it and leave it somewhere, that's where you will find it next time you come. It can't move even 1 inch. But so what happens is sometimes you would employ an house girl and they go like, so let's say that the dinner you are cooking, let's say ugali and beef stew. So they will go, they come and tell you, Mom, today we are cooking ugali and beef stew. So you tell them, okay, yeah, you start preparing. So they cut the onions, the tomatoes and everything, and the meat. Then they come back and say, I've finished. Then you tell them, okay, start frying. Then they come back and tell you, I've finished. Then you tell them, now you can put the ugali. And you are thinking, my goodness. I mean, if we are doing ugali and beef stew, why don't you just get on with it and just keep going? What's it? So some people want to be pushed. Some people want to be reminded of the very small things. They don't have initiative, and it can be very unsettling for you, for bosses and supervisors. So what about problem solving? Someone who comes, the first time they encounter a problem, instead of sitting and thinking, how could I go around this problem? And then the next question, asking themselves, who else can I talk to who can help me solve this problem? So if you have an employee who every minute they come back to you, you give them an assignment, they come back to you. You try to, they don't solve problems. So you are thinking, how will you scale the ladder if you don't have that skill? In critical thinking, empathy is putting ourselves in the shoes of other people and just feeling the way they are feeling and thinking, because I can see where they are, then I'm going to operate in a certain way. Conflict management, stress management, wellness, balance. All these are personal skills that will determine whether we scale the ladder or we don't. Then the last foundational skill I help out with is networking. Today, the world is about networks. Even we are in a network. If I stand alone and I say I'm going to build my career the best way I know how, or I'm going to run my entrepreneurship alone, I don't think it's going to work. So relationship skills are needed regardless of which step of the career journey you are in. Emotional intelligence is a new gold, because you can have very good IQ, but if emotionally you don't know how to judge your emotions, manage your emotions, judge the emotions of the other people, and adjust accordingly, it's gonna be very hard in the corporate world and any other world, so to speak. Personal branding and etiquette, and including social media etiquette, or what some people call etiquette. Many times people forget, and I think we were told this by Eunice when she spoke, that employers will even want to check your social media spaces and just see what you've been saying, what you've been posting. So there's some etiquette that is required by someone who wants to scale the corporate ladder. And then also how to handle workplace politics, because sometimes when we work, there are politics at the workplace. So how do we navigate those ones and make sure that our growth still keeps on happening? And of course, customer relationship management. So this was a mouthful, but all this is what I call foundational skills: communication skills, personal skills, and networking skills. Then now let's go to each track and I show you the extras that you will need for each track. So, and I just use the label productivity skills, and where I got the label from was to think that if I have these skills, I will be more productive, either for myself, if I'm an entrepreneur, or for my employer if I'm employed. So if you want to be productive, and productive people always get promoted, if you are productive and you have emotional intelligence and all these other foundational skills, then you are going to scale the ladder. So let's see them one by one for the different target groups, like recent graduates all the way to leaders in transition. So I decided to use some personas. So the recent graduate, and I'm working with women because Sportis focuses on women, but the men, we can also assist them on a special program. So Rachel, the recent graduate. So what is coming out there is that I got these statistics: 74% of CEOs are concerned about the availability of key skills. And remember, now we are talking in Kenya, we are talking about almost, I don't know whether it's 100% transition. That is a target that people need to transit our children from one level of education to another. So generally, we are so educated as Kenyans. So how is it that employers are saying they are lacking key skills? Then 78% of employers want graduates to get basic skills in numeracy, writing, reading, and ICT skills. So if you are like Rachel, the recent graduate, this is what we will help you with. The first one is CV preparation, and that one was already tackled, so I won't go into it. But if you are a recent graduate, that is one help that we give you. then employer search. Not all employers will be suited for your path. So you need to know which employers to target so that you don't throw your pearls to the pig, so to speak. And then you also need to career plan for yourself, because you need, even as early as 21, 22 years, you need to see yourself being 50 years old and even beyond, and where you will have gone. And then you also need a portfolio that stands out. You know, identify your genius, celebrate your genius, and then write your CV and cover letter in a way that highlights your talent and skills, and position yourself through volunteer and internship work. And I think we are told about this in a very, very vivid way. Then there is another lady called Edwina, the early career employee. So what is happening with Edwina is that she's frustrated by slow career growth. And some of the things, I really thought I would get promoted this time. Maybe she's been working for 5 years or more and no promotions are coming, and she's wondering, what's not happening? Or she's worried that their employer doesn't see their work. So she's put in work and she's saying, my boss doesn't support me. She's wondering what is the problem. So how do we assist Edwina? The first thing is we help. I will start with number 2. We help her find courage to make recommendations. And thank you for that. So it's difficult to be promoted if you are so quiet and hidden. And those of us who are introverted, there is a way we can be helped, because if you never put out your ideas, you never get heard. It is so important to be noticed for promotion. And then there is something I call work ethic, that number 1. It's so important. You need to be someone of excellence. You know, when you are given an assignment, an activity, you do it with all your heart, with all your strength. You learn to solve work problems. You cultivate a sense of duty. If your supervisor leaves you in charge, they know they can go to sleep. They can go play golf. Everything will be fine. Recently, I was helping a lady who is an entrepreneur, and just a simple entrepreneur selling some electronics or computers, printers. And she told me the problem I have, Ruth, is that when I'm not at the shop, nothing happens. People will order stuff, it will not be delivered. And I'm thinking, if someone lacks a sense of duty, how are you going to be promoted? Then curiosity, we need to ask questions. We need to wonder, why are things working this way? Is this the only way this thing could work? Could there be something else? So that is about work ethic. And then managing relationships at work. If we want to be promoted to the next level, like Edwina is wondering, why am I being left out? Then look at your relationships at work. Are you supportive of your peers and the other team members? Are you a dependable team member to your employee, to your boss, to your team members, but also to your customers? Because if you cultivate these skills, then most likely, if they don't promote you from within, the next interview you go for a supervisory job, they will take you, because you'll be so ready. So let's not only look within, we can also start looking outside. Then we come to Felicity, the first-time manager. So she's been working in her early career. She's risen, now she's become a manager or a supervisor. But what is happening with Felicity is that she's frustrated about a poor team fit. So this team that she's been given, it's like things are not fitting in well. She's also worried because her boss has been saying she's not pulling her weight. I don't know whether you know there are situations where you promote someone, those of us in this network who are employers, you give someone a role and maybe they were looking so promising, but then they really disappoint you. They are not pulling their weight and you don't know what to do with them. And Felicity is also afraid of doing performance appraisals. And one of the reasons that could cause this fear is that maybe she was promoted from within and she's supervising the same people who are their peers. Now she's having to do performance appraisal, or even talk about indiscipline, maybe someone who is missing work and she doesn't know, how do I do this? And there's a very simple way of doing these things without even, getting uncomfortable, which is what we teach. Then she's also concerned about displaying authority, because some people, again, they are laid back. Now she's wondering, how do I exercise authority? She's not sure how to delegate. So some of the first-time managers, what they do is to take all the work on their neck and do it. And so Felicity will be coming to the office at 5:30 a.m., push until 8 p.m. She's still in the office because probably she's a performer. She doesn't believe in failing, but because she doesn't know the art of delegation, she's carrying the whole load on herself. Then she has challenges with time management and prioritization. So there's so much on her plate. She doesn't know what to start with, and that can be a pain. So how can we help Felicity? Skills about performance management. That's how we can help her, show her how to navigate appraisals, how to give feedback, and how to develop our team members. We will also help her with setting and budgeting skills because she needs to continue giving ideas to top management. When you are a supervisor, a manager, you are expected to contribute to the wellness of the business, the organization. So we'll help her to be able to come up with ideas that she can sell, and even to be able to advocate for our team and to manage company resources, whether it is our team in terms of the human resources, the financial resources, the technological resources, anything that is placed in our care. Then we'll also help her with team building skills. And team building is not just about going out and jumping some ropes and everything. There is much more to team building, which involves building a high trust, high performance team and team culture and solving team conflicts. Then we will also help her with delegation and prioritization, like I had alluded to. I'm almost done. The next career phase, or the next personality we meet, is Elsie, the entrepreneur. So Elsie could be any age, I said so. It could be someone who left university and said, I will never be employed. I'm going to set up my company. Or it could be someone who has been employed and then one day they say, I'm done with being employed. Now I want to go and do my own thing the best way I know how. So it could be, Elsie is of any age. So these are some reasons that make startups to fail. And it's based on an analysis of more than 100 startups. And as you can see from that graph, the biggest major reason why startups fail is a lack of market. So you start your startup, you have this business idea, you are so excited, but you don't take time to check, does anyone need what I'm selling? So you go right in and you are so excited, and 1 year down the line, nobody's asking you what you are selling. When you try to sell it, nobody's buying, you get out of business. Some run out of cash, some do not get the right team. So you find you have a very brilliant idea, there's a market for it, but you don't have the right team. Then let me give you a short story. So during this COVID season, there are so many people selling things online. So somebody sent, I don't know how they normally get our numbers, by the way. So you just get a pop-up of someone. So this one said they are selling vegetables, and he had a very nice story, how they are going to be sourcing from the farms, organically grown produce, everything. So his deal was looking too good to be true. So at some point, I remember calling him and asking him, because I normally train on customer experience management. I asked him, all these things you are promising and all these affordable prices and everything, do you have a good team to execute all of these nice things you are talking about? He said yes. Long story short, when he was starting, the first day he was saying, now I'm launching, he never delivered to me and to many people, because to his credit, he later, several days later, wrote to say, I'm very sorry, this thing didn't work the way I thought. We got overwhelmed, the orders were too many and we could not service them. So that getting the right team on board is very important. And of course, sometimes people get outcompeted, and on and on and on. The list is endless. So how can we assist Elsie? But before we assist Elsie, this is a question I wanted just to pose to all of us. How different would life be if entrepreneurship was mandatory and part of the school curriculum for students? So that everyone, before they get out of school, they know what it is to be self-employed or to run their own show, not necessarily to go and be employed. And I'm not saying employment is bad. It's about what someone chooses, or maybe the realities of the world they're living in. So Elsie will need some help in terms of market identification, and that's what we do to help. create a business model and plan, how to vision, how to come up with a strategy, how to sell your vision so that you can get buy-in, because some entrepreneurs will need some investors to come on board so that their idea can get some life. So how do you sell your ideas? And then you need grit and staying power, because it's not easy to be an entrepreneur. And if you are not helped, at the first sign of a problem, you are going to duck and leave, and we hear you have gone back to, I don't know where. Then marketing and customer experience management is so important to learn how to pitch your idea, how to delight your customers, how to win at social marketing, social media marketing, and how to you need also to get advanced public speaking and presentation skills. And then you need to build the right team. Like I said, with the right team, you can go far. Without the right team, your idea may be the most brilliant idea after sliced bread, but it may not take off, because Rome was not built by one person, neither in one day. I mean, nothing of importance is done by one day. And they say, if you have a dream that you can execute alone, then that is small. You go back and dream again. So you need to really know how to build a team. And finally, we have Lucy, the leader in transition. So Lucy could be a new CEO who got a CEO who got a job in a new organization, or a head of communication in a new organization. I've been privileged to coach several heads of communication. So someone will get a job as a head of communication, then they call me, they tell me, Ruth, you know, I interviewed for this job, I got it. Now I'm thinking, what next? I really enjoy doing that, answering that what next question, and sitting down with these top executives and drawing a 90-day strategy. This January, February, before COVID, I already did two with two new PR managers in different places. And I really enjoy when they call me later and they tell me, Ruth, these things are working, I'm shining, people think I'm the best thing that ever happened. And I'm like, wow, this is what makes me feel nice. So the challenge, Lucy, the leader in transition, is that she has limited time to prove herself, 90 days. I think we are reading the beautiful story, I can call it that way, of this new guy at the Nairobi Metropolitan, Buddy. You know, in his first 100 days, he's been able to show us something tangible. And now yesterday I was reading another article where he has carved out another 100 days to do something. So Lucy is thinking, wow, how do I prove myself within the first 90 days? She's also concerned about how to connect, because she's looking at the new team. It looks a bit cold. She doesn't know what buttons to touch to be able to connect with them. She doesn't understand how the new organization works, because when you are new, you are new. And she's yet to build alliances to support her key priorities and many other challenges that could face any leader in transition. And let me repeat myself, a leader in transition is not necessarily a rookie leader. You can be very seasoned, but if you don't take care of the transition and the settling in, you can just fail to connect with everyone. So how do we assist Lucy? The first thing is to help Lucy get A-level game priorities proper. Help her to establish 30 days, 60 days, 90 days milestones, so that from the day she reports to the first month, the second month, by the third month, there are milestones, there are things that she has done, and then with this milestone, she is able to drive team performance. But we also help Lucy to build alliances, because we will help her to see who are the key allies, both internally and externally, that she cannot afford to ignore or to give a second-rate kind of attention. So, and we just help her to master the political chessboard, because every organization has its own politics. So how do you sieve the wheat from the chaff and get going? I mean, you can imagine the same example of the new Nairobi Metropolis boss. When he took office, there was all this noise, even our governor in Nairobi feeling like he took away almost everything. So with all that noise, he's still been able to perform. So how do you navigate all that? And finally, and most importantly, we help Lucy with communication and our team plans. Create a communication plan to sell our vision, our roadmap, our milestones, because every time you hit a milestone, you need to communicate those milestones, celebrate them, you know, make fun about it, because that is what convinces people that something good is happening. And then she needs to shape the culture of the team. And what we do is to help with what I call transition communication campaign. So as you transition on your seat as a new leader, how do you communicate about what you are doing? Because if people don't know what you are up to, you might be doing very good things, but maybe they will not support you because they don't know. So like we started by saying, what got you here, meaning where you currently are, will not get you there. So you need to get polished and scale up the ladder. And as Sporty's Transition School, we can help you in 3 ways. You can come to us for one-to-one coaching sessions. And coaching is not like consulting. It's not like advising. Coaching is a partnership where we become an equal partner. We know you have potential. We just want to become your sounding board. And we want to challenge you with questions that can make you, you know, think differently. So a coach is a thinking partner. So if you want someone to think through anything with you, you come to us, we'll be there for you. Mentoring is now more of really a bit of advising, because it's someone who has been there, done that, helping you, showing you the ropes. We also do that. And training, we have an 8-week program, which you can go through depending on which track you select based on where you are in your career, and that will serve you well. And yeah, so it's time to maximize your potential. Start today. There's a poll that I hope it will be shared with all of us. Then you can respond to it and we can see how to serve you well. But as I finish, I want to give credits to Eunice Kilonzo. She really helped me with the poster that went out. It was so fantastic. Thank you so much, Eunice. Charity Murigi and Edel Sakwa. We worked together with them to create these slides. So I gave them the content and they did a marvelous job. And all the leaders of the network, thank you so much even for thinking of all this, and most importantly for allowing me the space to present. To give back to them, I'm offering them 1 track for free or 4 coaching sessions for free, whichever they like. So whatever you want, Eunice, whatever you want, Charity and Edel, and our leaders, just talk to me and I'll see how to make it happen for you. And finally, I'm also looking for associates, because I work with associates both in Portis and also in Silcom Consulting. I believe in honoring excellence. So associate means we collaborate where there is an opportunity to collaborate. So I'm looking for a digital media wizard. We collaborate to drive Portis on social media. A learning management system guru, it's called LMS, so that we can create Portis Transition School online, because with this COVID season and the new normal, which I don't think we'll ever go back to where we were, most of the learning will happen online. Even coaching now, I do coaching online. So if you know how to do learning management systems, I would like us to collaborate. And then a photographer or a video expert to capture and process the moments, and any other expert who might be interested in collaborating with Portis Transition School, we welcome you to come and work with us. And with that, I would say thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and for finding time to come and listen to this presentation. Thank you so much. And back to you, Esther.
Wow, thank you so much. That was such a great presentation, and really such key highlights that we all have learned something from this. Patience, I think this is the moment we do the group photo before we go to the questions. Patience, are you there?
Sorry, I muted. Yes, I am.
Okay, all right. So, I think we can do the group photo, and then I'll just flag out the questions, read them out, and Ruth can answer.
And because we think we have time, we can actually ask people to just raise their hands or speak so that they can ask the questions directly, so we don't misinterpret the questions.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so let's do this once more. If you are somewhere where you are, Eka video yako tukuone sura yako so that we don't have names, but we can see you. Just switch on your videos. Hi, Pamela. Sarah B. I still see you. I'm just going to call out people's names. Beatrice Kungu, Veronica Mwangi, Serathiga. Who else? Wilkie's iPhone. Wilkie's iPhone, I think, is the techno that transitioned to iPhone. Sophia, Winnie, Wanjiru Kamodo, Eunice, please switch on your videos so that we all know who is on board. So we just want to take photos. Just a minute. I'll do this in less than a minute. Linesta, I see you again there.
Patience, some of us are having bad hair days. I can't.
Okay. Who else? Sophia. I think that's in Qatar. Wanjiru Kamodo. Winnie Stawa. Okay, I think the first grid we will have all the Sheila Raymond. Okay, there I see you. Linesta, you're the first grid. Your name is the only name that is missing a photo there or video. Best.
Bad hair day.
Okay, let us smile. 1, 2, shall we say cheers on Goche? 1, 2, 3, go.
Cheers.
1, 2, 3. Cool. I'm gonna do the second grid now. Again, I think we have different people on the second grid. Let's do this. 1, 2, 3.
Cheers.
1, 2, 3. Done, and that's it. Thank you. I will share the photos.
Wow.
Cool. Back to you, Esther.
All right, then I think we're good to go. We can now pick the questions. If anyone has a question, I think they can just put their hands up or unmute themselves. Patience, you're fast up, so you can go.
Okay, so my first question, thank you, Ruth Msembi, thank you so much for this presentation. I think it's a wonderful presentation and it touches on all of us, those who are starting off, those who are in the middle career, and those who are probably now at the managerial sphere. I think all the tidbits and all the insights are very key to all of us and they will help us one way or another. My question is, when you get to an organization, probably for those who are thinking at a managerial level as a CEO, how, and you have a 30, 60, 90-day strategy, I'm imagining you still need time to understand the culture, and some cultures in some organizations are very rigid. How do you help? And most of the time people say, with the coming of a new CEO, it's easier for you to get your way through in with a new culture altogether and try and set things. But then how do you get a chance to be able to learn how the culture works in an organization and also at the same time spiral a new culture altogether, maybe a culture that will be able to help you achieve your 90-day strategy or your objectives that you set within a time frame? How do you do that seamlessly before watu waanze kusema huyu sio mpya? How does that work?
Okay, thank you very much, Patience. And like I said, I'm grateful for this opportunity. So the thing is, research has to serve as well. So even before a new top executive reports to work, they need to have done a lot of groundwork to understand the culture. So whether you are going to look for people inside who can help you understand. I remember I've been privileged to help some of these senior guys, really senior guys, when they prepare to go, there's some noise coming from somewhere. When they go to prepare to appear in parliament, you know, when the president appoints nominees, then they now go for vetting. I've participated in helping like 3 of them, senior ones. I don't want to mention them because they'll think like niliwaanika. So I remember one was in the legal profession and we had to look for people in the judiciary, wherever, ask them questions. So we did research for him and we prepare so that by the time you report day 1, you need to have a lot of groundwork you've done about that organization. And then of course, when you arrive, you need to speak to the different cadres of staff. So whether you do small workshops with different people, you sample a few people from the different categories, hear from them what is in their heart, what are they expecting, what would they like to see, what would be their 5 top priorities. Ask a simple question like, if you were the new MD, what 5 things would you run with? That simple question will harvest for you so much information. Then you sit down and you rank it. And of course, like we know in qualitative research, if you're asking people a question and the same answers keep coming over and over again, and it's across a spectrum from the top to the bottom, then something tells you these are the priorities that I need to be looking at. So a lot of consultation and research and asking questions will be very, very critical. But of course, the rest of the things we explore together with every CEO and see how to assist them, and top executives, not just CEOs, top executives, depending whatever job they have gotten. I hope that has helped. Thank you.
Can I add something?
Yes,
I can
Jen.
just add on what Ruth has said. So in the first 90 days or during your probation period, it's very, very important that you get a sitting with whoever you report to. If you're the CEO, within the first 3 weeks, you need to have seen the board and known what exactly are the pain points. What exactly are they looking for you to deliver within the first night, so that you don't shoot in the dark, so that you work according to what is expected of you. If you're an assistant, again, you need to have gone to a meeting with your boss after the induction to exactly understand what do they want you to deliver. And if you're new, you have to also keep going to the person that is managing you to understand, am I still supporting you? Because your main role is to support your boss to win. So don't just start working on the dark without understanding what exactly is expected of my role and what are the results that would make them wow. If you're an MD, whichever position actually, you have to take time before you start contributing to understand the culture of the organization, because you might be contributing to things that were proposed last year and they are no longer valid. So you need to take your time, get to understand the culture, get to understand the issue that they have. If they have different programs, understand or departments, what happens this program, what happens this department, what kind of challenges are you having, what are some of the success that you have had. If you're managing people, even go for their performance appraisals. Can I see your appraisal for last year? We just understand how they were rated. So if you understand who is in your team, what strengths do they bring, what weaknesses do they bring to the team, then you have an understanding even before you start contributing. If you're a team leader, you need to have met at least every person in your team as individuals one-on-one to establish that personal link. Because when you have a team, when they can know they can come to you, then your work becomes easy. So you must have individual team meetings, or rather team member meetings, and you must have a group meeting with the team that you're managing, so that you can establish what you call a team charter. Agreeing as a team, I don't care what you guys were doing before. Of course, you care about the ring, but you want to set a way of how you want your things done. You want to establish a reporting framework that will be meeting every Monday for a brief, for planning, for ABCD. I'll be expecting to get reports on this, and to understand how you can also support them. So the first thing, you must understand the culture, and within a very short time. 2, you must be very sure why you are hired. What are your key deliverables, and agree that with your boss and keep referring. And sometimes you might have a boss or even a board if you're a CEO that doesn't keep asking you how things are and ABC. So it's up to you to make sure that you actually record all the things that you achieve in a week, in 2, so that in your report you are showcasing your success. And in every position, you also have the low-hanging fruits. Go in, do your audit, understand what can we do immediately. Like now for Bandy, when he came, he knows we didn't have water in the slums. It was a very low-hanging fruit for him, which you have always complained, but now he has done that. Everyone is searching about it. I don't know it's in his plan for the future. He has done that, and the hospitals. Those are things that were low-hanging fruits that anybody who had resources would actually benefit, would actually get fame because of doing that. So establish your low-hanging fruits, get to understand what your boss wants, get to understand the culture, understand your team, and understand your boss.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ruth and Jen.
Yeah, and those are the kind of associates we work with. So Jen, we are working with her closely. So yeah, so that's the kind of value you will get when you come to us. Yeah, let's go on.
I think there's a question from Yvonne. Patience, your question has been answered, right?
Yes, it has. Thank you so much.
Okay, all right. Yvonne, your hand is up. You could go ahead, ask your question.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Madam Musembi, for that awesome presentation. I have to say that I found it very insightful and enlightening. But I just want to go back first of all to Patient's question and ask this. What happens if because this is what I've also encountered, the people who hire you for the communication job, at some point it seems like they have no idea what you're supposed to do. So you want feedback, but it seems you can't get the feedback that you want. So how do you go about having that conversation? Then the question that I wanted to ask is, when do you get a sponsor? And I think when I say sponsor, you understand in terms of professional terms, when do you start sourcing for a sponsor? Is it when you're a recent graduate? How do you go about the whole process? And then to Musembi as well, I wanted to ask you, do you give such trainings to boards? That is my question. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Jen, do you want to take the first ones first? You are muted. Jen, you are muted.
So the first question was when you are not clear about your role. So I see that every day, and there are times that we hire you and you are the in charge. If you're the in charge, we expect you to come with the knowing what come and do. And therefore, that means if you're not able to drive yourself to that, you must work with your peers. Talk to Patience, talk to Ruth, talk to Avinya, talk to Kirago, talk to people who have set departments, talk to people who are able to run departments that you're supposed to be running if you don't know where to start. But whichever way, you must deliver. We have specific deliverables for every function. If I'm in HR, I know what is expected of a HR office. I don't need my boss to come and tell me, Jane, where is ABCD? So I know if I go to a place, I'm looking at the following functions. If I'm in communications and media, I know if I'm in an organization, my work, even without being told, will involve the following. And therefore, it will be upon me to table a proposal. I have checked, and I think would benefit from having a media plan, or to benefit if we had a lot of social media interactions. I have seen our website, they have not been updated for the last 2 months, so it will be up to you to actually see how you can contribute from your professionalism. And if you don't know, then get a mentor, discuss with them, let them just see you shining. They don't have to know where you got the support from, but you need to move. If you got that job, it's because they thought you'd come and give them the sense, because not everyone will understand your job. You are the expert. Take it on. Thank you.
Jen. So thank you. And then for when to get a sponsor or a mentor, I think immediately, even before you finish university, college, you need to start thinking. There's something I call the mentorship circle. I don't know, maybe some of us must have encountered it. So if you think of mentorship as a 4-directional thing, and you imagine you draw across and you stand at the middle, and then if you draw around, like a line up around it, it becomes a circle. You are in the middle. Above you, you always must have a mentor, always in your life, regardless of the stage of life you are in. So start early. So if you are getting out of college, identify somebody. And then below you, it is expected that you are mentoring somebody. Now, there's nobody who doesn't have something to tell, because even if I'm a fresh graduate, there are people who are in first year. There's something I can tell them. If I am an early career employee, there are people who are graduates looking for jobs. There's something I can tell them. If I am a first-time manager, there are people who are first career employees who are just sitting there. They don't know what to do, how to plan their career. So get to mentor some people. And then across is what we call peer mentorship. You are comparing notes with your peers. And that's what Jen is saying. If you get a role and it's not well defined, are there peers who have similar roles like yours? Go to them, talk to them. And I like the way she's putting it. People don't have to know where you get the ideas from. You go source your ideas and come and shine. And women, we like apologizing. If someone tells you, oh, Ruth, you are doing a very good job, you start saying, oh, even I called Wavi, it's Wavi who told me all these things. Really, there's no man who can talk like that. On your game, go there and shine without pride and without arrogance, but on your game. So yeah, you need to start looking for mentors early. And we don't just need one type of a mentor. Your life is a whole system. So if you are a Christian, you may want a Christian mentor. If you are married, you may want a marriage mentor. If you are a career woman, you may want a career mentor. You can have so many mentors. You are also mentoring so many people. Let us start early. I hope I've answered that question. Whether I talk to board, the answer is yes. Recently, I was just talking to the board of KEMSA. So yes, we train boards. and we help them to see these things from the perspective that I've tried to explain. So you can just have a chat with us. Thank you.
Yvonne, somebody asked, what's a sponsor? Were you in reference to a mentor? Maybe you want to explain it better. I don't know. What's a sponsor,
Oh,
Yvonne?
yeah. Thank you, Jane and Ruth. Not in the terms of, the normal slang way that we used to think about it. It's a term that I got into contact with at a Global Leadership Summit, organized, I think it was organized by, can I remember, Sitam Valley Road. So a sponsor, the way the lady explained it, a sponsor is someone who can mention your name in a room where decisions are made. Someone who can actually upscale your career forward. That is what a sponsor is. But also, maybe just to be clear, in terms of the first question that I asked, I'm sorry to pontificate on this, is I meant in terms of you have a boss who, you are the expert, you know what you're supposed to do, but it seems like it's a bit, you try to communicate with them what you're supposed to do. This is something that I encountered in the past, and I want to know how I can be able to deal better with it in future. You explain to them what you need to do, but they are adamant in accepting what you're putting into the table, but they still want to see work done. So for instance, you have no budget, you still need to do your job, or you explain to them what you need to do, but they're still not buying it. So how do you better communicate so that you're on the same page with them? Thank you.
Okay.
I hope I'm clear on the sponsor. Thank you, Jen and Ruth.
Wow, thank you very much. And thank you for that insight. So two things I will tell you about if you're working for a boss who is not quite on the same page with you about what value you are adding and how you want to do your work. So the first one, I will say, what's in it for me? Every boss, if you show them how what you are doing and the approach you are using is going to propel them to achieve their objectives, maybe you can try that one unless you've already tried it now. So if your boss thinks they are the ones who know what you need to be doing, and by the communication, people will face that a lot, because it seems like many CEOs or many bosses, because and the problem becomes worse when you are meant to report to people who are not in our profession. So you will go to organizations, you find your boss is a lawyer, for example, or because you are in corporate affairs and the boss is a lawyer or the boss is whatever other profession, and they don't really see things the way we do. Just try to use the what's in it for me formula, which means find out what bothers this guy, what objectives are important to him, and then use communication to assist them to achieve that. And as they start seeing value, probably they will warm up and start taking your advice seriously. And I think that's what I would say. And then the other thing is, let's be patient. There are places I worked, like when I started working out in NEMA, there are things I wanted to have done because I could see from my training and experience, this is what needs to be done. But when I discovered I'm working with people, first of all, I was a first office holder. They had never seen a PR manager. They had never seen a PR office. So they were also trying to understand what is this whole thing. And so we also need to just be patient. And there's one thing I always tell myself, at the end of the day, my work is to support my boss and make the organization succeed. So to the extent that he's willing to be supported, I will just keep on. I have another method where if I give you advice and you don't take it, I just try a second time. I give it again. If you don't take it, I pull back. But I will not pull back sulking. I'll continue working, but that discussion, I shelve it. And I saw more times than ever than that my bosses would come back later. And most of them were men. And you know, for a man, it's not easy to admit they made a mistake. They will come back and say, Ruth, there's a day you said something. Can we try that? And they will not be telling me theirs has failed, but everyone can see it's not working. And then I taught myself humility. I never opened my mouth one day to tell my boss, I told you. That's not how to scale the ladder. You just be humble and you know the guy is feeling the pain because you taught them once, twice, and they ignored you. So let's be ready to be ignored once, twice, because at the opportune time, you will penetrate and get a breakthrough. But PR has never been an easy job because a lot of times people don't get to quite understand what we are trying to contribute. Like a lot of people think PR is media relations. So if you are not sending, these press releases daily to the media, your boss may just decide you are not working, but maybe you are telling them our stakeholders are found in many other places. We don't have just to go to the media. That conversation never ends. You may have that conversation until you leave that organization. So I hope I've helped, but we can connect later for more on that.
I think maybe Ruth, maybe you can allow me to add on to something there.
Yes.
Avi. I think the other thing that has worked for me is understanding how the organization works. Sorry, my kids in the background. Boys, the other thing that has worked for me is understanding how the organization works. So if, for example, they prefer to get a consultant to start off a process, then you then need to accept that is how the process works, instead of you trying to interfere. So I have found that especially when you're new in an organization or when a new strategy is being rolled out, understand what the protocol for the organization is and try not to, to cut it off, or cut it short in a certain way. Then you find that when you respect, there's a way that people who are doing things, then you will be able to slowly get in, especially your bosses who don't understand what it is that you do, to appreciate it. And that is something that has worked for me personally where I am, and I think for government especially, because they tend to want to say, no, let us get a consultant to do 1, 2, 3. And if you cut short that process, then it will feel like you have not followed the due process or a procurement process or whatever the case is. So yeah, thanks. I had a question though, Ruth. When you talked about your various tracks, I think maybe there was a track in terms of for leaders. I know you talked primarily about leaders in transition. Mm-hmm. Do you have a track, or do you also work with people who are not necessarily leaders in transition, but they have been leaders for a minute, or have been in their roles, and maybe a strategy has changed or a new CEO has come, it's the beginning of a new strategic plan. And so of course things, you've been in that space for, a few years. So do you work with people like that, and how does that look like?
Okay. Wow, thank you for that question. So even as you asked the question, I'm already sensing some bit of transition there, because let's say you have been in an organization and one leader has left and another one has come. That's already a transition for you. So you might not be changing jobs, but you are changing either because there's a new strategy or there's a new leader who has come, and you need to understand how they work. And most of the top leaders I work with, it's in the form of coaching. What I've discovered with top executives, they don't have time for training. The kind of responsibilities on their shoulders, even if you put them in a room and the maximum can only be 2 days, I don't think they can find more time. I know in government it's slightly different and the motivations are very different. It's not about, it's about something different. I don't want to be so explicit, but it's there. So, but in the corporate world, private sector, a top executive, even 1 day to get to go for training, it's very big sacrifice. So what I've seen and what I do with them is coaching. So we agree. And I'm one person who can even come to your office at 6 a.m. because I also discovered with top leaders, early hours in the morning is when you can find them. So if we want to have sessions of 1 hour per week, we can agree 6:30, 7 a.m. I'm in your office, we do our 1 hour, and then I leave, you start your day, because you book a CEO or a top executive at 8 a.m., you go and find they've been called to a meeting. So that meeting will not happen. So I do coaching a lot with such kind of people. And right now, because of the way COVID has taught us new ways of working, I'm doing most of my coaching online through Zoom. Thank you.
Okay, great. There's a question from Julie Masiga where she asked, what's the best way to resolve conflicts as a team lead?
So there are different ways of resolving conflict, but I think the basis of conflict resolution is to understand where it is coming from, because some conflicts are actually, conflict is a fact of life, and it's because we are different. We are not the same at all. So just that difference in itself, we always say conflict is inherent in human interaction. Where two people are interacting, the next thing that is going to happen is a conflict. So you really need to get to the bottom of the conflict. Is it a genuine conflict that is arising because people see things differently? Or is it a malicious conflict? Or is it a what type of a conflict? So that once you zero in on where the conflict is coming from, what is causing it, and what kind of a conflict it is, then now you go through the motions of how to manage conflict, which is what we get into when we do work together with people.
Maybe I can add something on that. Yeah? But as a leader, your key thing is to make sure that that conflict is actually resolved. Yeah? Try go for a win-win. And if you don't resolve it, the team starts breaking up. You start sweeping out things under the carpet, people stop working together, and the team just can't move. So work is going on, but people are so sad. Others start looking for jobs because that conflict is unresolved. So whatever happens, don't ignore conflict. Even if it looks like very minor to you, please get out and have to solve that problem. One of the things I tell guys when you're resolving conflict, don't talk to one team member and then talk to the other. It will still be shared elsewhere like gossip. So call both members, talk with them, get to understand where is the point of departure and what can we do to make sure that we actually still continue working as a team. Thank you.
Thank you. So there's also someone asking how to deal with office politics. And that is a big one because every organization has movers and shakers. It has the in team and the out team. It has the power brokers. So I think the first thing to understand when you go to an organization is just understand the power structure. And some of the movers and shakers and brokers are not necessarily high up in the ladder. They could be all over. So you really need to know who is who and who can serve your purposes, and primarily to ensure that you do the work that took you there. Because again, there are some politics that are very unnecessary to get into them because you got employed, you responded to a call, an advert, and they said what they wanted you to go and do, and so your work is cut out for you. But there are certain things that you, for example, you might go and find that there is one of the top people who, if they don't like your idea, it will never be approved. It doesn't matter how nice it is. So you have to sit yourself down and say, wait a minute, okay, so if my idea has to be approved, this person looks like they are the door. And from there, now you start saying, for example, am I going to use negotiation? Am I going to first try to sell my idea to this person on the sidelines? Or am I going to use another person to sell for me? What exactly am I going to do? Because everything has to be connected to, I need an environment where I can execute my work. But sometimes that environment will be hindered by the power brokers and the people who call the shots in the organization. So really try to understand the place and then get to know who is who and how to go around them in a very professional, morally acceptable manner, and then see how it happens. And again, I keep saying, be patient and don't rush. It's never that serious, because sometimes if someone is blocking you from doing what you need to do, there is what you can do and there's a place you reach and you're like, for now, this is a far much I'm willing to play this game. But really, surviving in the corporate world is a game that you really need to learn how to play it. I hope that helps.
There was a question from Patience where she said, confidence and positioning is key, but then how do you strategically position yourself?
Okay, thank you for that. So confidence is key. So confidence, I believe that is a skill that you need to build just to, and many times what makes someone to be confident is when they know what they are talking about. So I think the first place to start with confidence is to know your staff. If you don't know your staff, you will be looking like you are afraid, you are fearing, you don't want to get yourself out there. So you really need to know your staff and be good in what you do. Positioning, again, is a matter of, I like using the what's in it for me formula, because if I want to position myself as somebody who has to be consulted on things, then if, for example, I want to position myself because communication is required in every department, but you might go and find there are many top people who don't even care about communication. How about working with heads of department one by one and telling them, oh, okay, the HR boss, I understand you have a new HR manual, and I think it's important for the employees to understand what is in the manual, what is required of them. Is it okay if we work together? I come up with simple messages that we can send to staff so that we help them to understand what changes or what new things are in this manual. I think that's a what's in it for me approach, because you are helping this person to shine. If you help them to shine, they will help you. And even if they backstab you, they know you are good and they know they can come to you when they are in need. Then you move to the next one. You go to the technical department, whatever your organization does, that manager or general manager, you tell them, okay, I realize you have this new project you are working on, and you are already having very beautiful milestones, but I wonder, do people know them, both internally and externally? How about me organizing for a journalist to cover this aspect of our business? Would you be willing to give a comment? So if you become a solution provider and someone who helps the other people to shine, I think you are going to position yourself. And I know I positioned myself to the level that even if you want to ignore me, it was so difficult to ignore me. You just have to hate me, but work with me, because I just am a solution provider. I'm just giving solutions every place that I go. So for me, that's the way I position myself. Let someone keep reading for me the questions that are coming.
I can see two questions from, okay, so one question from Winnie.
Mm-hmm.
Ruth, what happens when one transitions from a junior employee into a management and into management and leave behind those you found in the organization, and now you are isolated?
Okay.
I think that's a good problem to have.
So remember the first time manager we looked at, Felicity. That is a challenge. You know, when you start supervising people, you are peers, it is very challenging. But also, most importantly, if you are promoted and the people inside don't believe that you are the one who needed to have been put there. But the question is, unless you are willing to leave, you have the job. So you have to find a way of doing that work with them and exploring how to work around them. And that's why we do coaching, because I don't think these things, there's no one correct answer. So when we sit with you in a coaching conversation, we start exploring what is the exact situation that we are going in. But one thing you have to remember, that you are not going to fail because people are not supporting you. So you are going to find ways of working with them, and you are going to use empathy. Empathy is put yourself in their shoes. If you are the one who was bypassed in court, because probably they are feeling they were bypassed. If you are the one who are bypassed, what would you do? So first of all, allow them to go through the motions, to mourn. There are all those cycles. Allow them to mourn. They mourn the loss of not getting what you got. And then once that subsides, work with them. If they are trying to backstab you, try to see what to do. It's never easy, but it's a coaching problem, because every situation is very, very unique and different. And the other thing is, expect it. You know, many times problems hit us hard if we do not expect problems. And I'm not saying you become a pessimist. We are supposed to be optimistic, but realistic. If you get promoted and you know the politics inside your organization, expect that some war will be there and try to see how to navigate, but don't start becoming so shocked that I'm shocked this is happening. Really? How do you get shocked and you could see it coming? So yeah, you also need to have that muscle, that grit, but empathy is very important. Put yourself in their shoes, see why they are feeling the way they are feeling, and try to see how to navigate around it.
Irene had almost a similar question where she says, you know, how do you become firm as a manager without getting isolated or appearing mean? I think it's very much related to, but you can touch on it.
It's related, and I think performance management. You remember I talked about performance management. You know, if you sit with every person and you agree on the targets in the next performance cycle, this is what, and you don't put the targets for them. You come to the conclusion of the targets together. You set the targets together based on what the organization is trying to achieve, and everyone owns those targets. When now you come to review the targets, either weekly, monthly, quarterly, it's an easy conversation. And that's one thing I love training on. I'm helping managers to have what I call difficult conversations, because they look difficult, but there's a simple way to approach it. So if you are using target-based management, I think it makes life easier. I'm not saying it will be, without challenges, but it will be manageable, because you are telling someone, okay, so let's have a sit down and see, we were working towards this. By now we had agreed to be here. So let me see, where are we with this? It's a very simple discussion, but a very firm discussion. That's why I talked about assertiveness, because if people are not pulling their weight, even you as a manager, you will not succeed. But it doesn't have to be war. And the only way to ring fence yourself is to make sure that you have very clear targets, which are owned by the owner of the target, and they have agreed to do them, and you are just following up, and everyone knows what happens in case something doesn't happen.
All right, this is the last question I see on the chat, unless somebody will have a question after this. So prioritization is a very key skill that we forget to hone as we scale the career ladder, because it is linked to delegation. What do you handle and what do you delegate? I think, how do you make that choice between what to handle, what to delegate?
Okay, thank you. So there's a grid called, I always struggle to pronounce his name, Einsoa. Okay, he was a president of the US. Honestly, I've been unable to pronounce his name. So he has agreed that helps you to divide your activities or your tasks into 4. So the green part is something that is urgent and important for you to do it as a manager or as a person. Those ones, you do them now. So how you prioritize is you ask yourself, is this thing urgent? But is it also important for me to do personally? So let me give an example. If it is a senior management meeting that happens every Monday at 10 a.m., for you on Monday, that becomes urgent and important, because unless there's a very good reason, you will not keep on delegating that meeting. And in any case, you can delegate, but all of us who have been in senior management know, if you don't go to a meeting, there are those nuances, those, hidden things that you need to see them yourselves. So even if you send somebody to represent you, they cannot come and help you completely what was going on. So to prioritize, you have to look at, this thing is urgent and it is important that I do it myself. Those ones, leave them to yourself. Then there is something that is urgent, but not important, that you handle it yourself. So the task itself is important, but it's not necessarily for you to handle. That is what you delegate. You get somebody, you tell them, you know what, social media, we need someone to check, because we started a new campaign and we need to check what is going on. It is urgent, it can't wait, but it can be done by someone else. You delegate that. Then there is something that is not urgent, but it is important for you to handle it. So what we do with those tasks, we schedule them. So in your notebook or in your iPad or wherever, you will have things that this one I need to do it myself, but it's not urgent. So you create time for it, and you can decide every Friday or every Monday or whatever. This is the time I normally set aside to do those projects that I need to do myself, but they are not urgent. And then there's something that is not urgent and not important. Like some things, like answering to all the WhatsApp groups you are in, checking social media, going to every meeting that has been called. There are some things you can see they are not urgent, they are not important for you to achieve your objectives. Those ones, you just delete them. So if you go and Google online, you will just see it's a simple grid. So do it now, delegate, do it, schedule for it, and delete. That's one of the simplest ways I've seen that you can use to prioritize. And then there's another concept.
Can I add something? Oh, sorry.
Yes, I'll allow you. There's another concept from a book I read that is called Eat That Frog, or something like that, something about eating a frog. And it is a very interesting book. You can find it on pdfdrive.com for free, because pdfdrive.com tends to have books that are older, and so they are available free. So the thing is, Eat That Frog means there are some tasks that you don't enjoy doing, but they are so important that they are done. And so the writer of this book says, eat that frog and eat it in the morning. Brian Tracy, I see someone helping me. Thank you so much. Eat the frog in the morning, like when you are alert. Tackle that thing, because what happens with managers and even just employees is there's something you need to do, and you keep on pushing it, and you push it and you push it until you are caught off guard. So every day before you go home, and that is a third trick, before you sign off for work for the day, decide what is to be done tomorrow, and then identify the frog in that list, and then start with it in the morning when you are fresh, and force yourself to do those tasks that we keep on pushing and pushing and pushing. So those are some of the few tricks that are in the book, and many more. Yes, Jen, where are you? Yes.
Yeah. So another one is looking things at the things that you have to do based on the level of their impact. If this doesn't happen now, what would be the impact to the business? So you have to look at not just what is urgent. Some things are very important, but no one will die, nothing will go wrong. So you have to look at the impact. If this annual report does not go to the board now, what happens? I'm going to be fired. So it's very important to always look at that, other than just the urgency. Look at the impact of the doing or not doing of anything that you're going to do.
Thank you, Jen. And that impact is what I'm calling importance. And I think that's what that grid calls important. It's important you do it because of now that impact and everything. So because we are always advised to run away from the tyranny of the urgent, or tyranny of the urgent, depending on which English. So instead of just running after the urgent, you have to balance. Is it urgent, but is it also important? And now, like Jen is putting it, what impact would it have on my targets, on the whole organization, if this thing is not done on time? Thank you. I see someone is also asking about time management aspect and how to stop procrastinating. And I think what I had alluded to earlier will come in. It's a very good tool for you to be able to manage your time.
Esther.
Okay, and with that, we come to the end of our session. Thank you so much, guys, for turning up. I think we started at 11:05. We finished at 12:35, so we are right on time. So considering we're saying that we are going global, we are doing really well. So this is a great opportunity that we are practicing even what we want to achieve. So thank you so much. Thank you, Ruth, for even having the session with us, and Jane for all the comments and just sharing the great insights. And Jane will actually be our next speaker. She comes in next week actually to answer so many of the HR questions that actually came up when we had our first session on CV and branding. And I think just keep the questions coming so that even as she prepares her presentation this week, then she's able to factor in those. If I could just give you 2 minutes, maybe Jane, briefly, you can just give us an insight about the session that will take place next Saturday, even as we look forward to it. Jane, just a minute or two.
Thank you, Havim. We'll be talking about the talent market. And why the most important thing, the only thing that counts is how you perform in the interview. That's what we'll be talking about. It doesn't matter how good your CV is. It doesn't matter how many masters or PhDs or how qualified you are. But we're talking about knowing that the most important thing, the only thing that counts is how you perform in your interviews. So you're shortlisted. If you are not able to sell in that market, too bad. It doesn't matter. The person who gets the job is the best interviewee, not the best candidate. And therefore, that they will be talking about making you the best interviewee. We can deal with the job later. But our main goal for going for the interview is to make sure that we actually bag that job. So that's what we'll be talking about. The techniques. It will be far from what you have seen in Gogo, far from being told about the farm handshake, the dressing. I don't know what else that people talk about. So we'll not be talking about those basics that that we all see. We'll not be talking about the basics of those basic questions, but I'll delve more on the techniques of how to tell the stories, because interviews are about storytelling. How you tell your story is how you stand out from the crowd. So that's what we'll be talking about. I hope it will be very practical, extremely practical. I'll make the presentation very brief so that we can have as many questions from the group as possible. So see you on Saturday. I'm very excited.
Wow, awesome. See you on Saturday. Terry, maybe you can just give us the closing remarks and a vote of thanks to our speakers today.
Okay, thank you so much, Eunice, and all the ladies in the group. I have a lot of knowledge. I hope I'll be able to share it even with other ladies and other people willing to learn like I have learned today. So it's been a great pleasure being with all of you today. I want to say thank you. Thank you for your patience. I know you had a busy day. You had a lot of things to do, maybe probably on a Saturday, but you spared your time to be with us. Thank you so much, Ruth Musembi, for the great presentation that you've done today. I've come to learn that learning never stops, even if you are old. And by the way, I'm honored to be among a group of such accomplished ladies. I don't know, I lack words. I just want to say thank you so much, Ruth, for the presentation. Thank you, Jen. Thank you all ladies who have participated, whether in talking or in listening. So in today's discussion, Finishing School, I think we'll even up the debate further. And what we've learned through today's Zoom meeting will help us a lot in our duties and lead to stability of us as ladies of this special group and also in our workplace. So finally, on behalf of this network, I would like to express my appreciation to each and every one of us. And now I would want to say and announce officially closure of the Zoom meeting. Asanteni sana for attending. Why are you laughing? Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Thank you everyone. If you want to reach out to Ruth or even to Jane, they're accessible to us. Please reach out to them. Maybe you have more questions. Just reach out to them and they'll be able to answer. And now may we end with the grace. And even as we end with the grace, remember, I'll post the link again in the group. Please fill in the link so that we get feedback. So let's end with the grace. May the grace of our Lord Jesus
Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now and forevermore.
Amen.
Happy guys.
Thank you. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you, Ruth.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
This is Damon.
This is Malia.
Malia, where are you? You should come and say hi to. Come say hi to Auntie Winnie. Say hi.
Malia, hi.
We are speaking with my. They want cartoon. They should wait. Look at Auntie Winnie there.
What's your name?
To say your name.
What's your name?
He doesn't want all those.
Kirago kwa nini kuna namba mbili?
Madi, you don't want to say hi to Winnie?
Because I'm the super admin. and the hosts.
Okay.
It will be
Okay.
fun.
Good to see you,
So,
lady.
okay. Patience, Esther, Sheila. We get back to our group and see how we can utilize Ruth, right?
Yes.
Yeah.